5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into the Clingers Have Spoken. I'm Joel. That's Michael. As always, we're the Clingers, and we're going to talk about the latest episode of Survivor. It was episode 11. We're on episode 11. There are only 6 people left. Wild. Michael, how are you feeling after watching last night's episode?
You know, after last night's episode, I was just a little bit in shock. You could tell that was how things were going to play out before Tribal started. You know, when Hulu kicked us off for just because it was glitching right before Tribal, it seemed like things were in bad shakes for Emily. Once it's everyone's voting Julie and Julie's playing an idol and voting for Emily, there's no good thing that can come out of that for Emily. So that was a little sad, a little tough to see. I think I'm in the grieving process of losing Emily, but this was her fault. I posted on X today. I said, me and Joel have been pleading with Emily for weeks to go against Reba, and she hasn't listened. Maybe she wasn't able to because this was filmed months ago, but nonetheless, we've been calling this for a long time. I tried to remain hopeful last episode that she actually was playing smart. She would be in a good position, and she just wasn't. That's why I didn't really understand at the beginning of the episode tonight. I felt like she was trying to up her threat level. She was trying to brag about how she played Bruce. And it's like, save that for Final Tribal, man. Like, don't tip everyone off that you're a player. Like, keep making everyone think you're a GOAT.
But honestly, that had nothing to do with her going home tonight. Like, literally, she honestly played a good game and she got Drew on her side. And the problem was that Austin was just too connected to D. That was the problem. And it didn't have anything to do with Julie. It didn't have anything to do with Emily. It was just like Austin and D were so close that Austin told her, because Austin valued his relationship with D over his relationship with Drew and Emily and everybody else. Which is fascinating. And honestly, good for Austin. There's so much. I think it's good for Austin. But that's a whole nother thing. So
my thing about Austin and D, that was at the beginning of the episode. So it's probably a good thing for us to talk about towards the beginning of our episode.
Okay.
Is it's been clear to me that they were into each other, but then all of a sudden we see them talking like, no, this is like a serious thing. And it's like, but y'all, like, we haven't seen that at all. And I wonder if I was like, why haven't the editors showed us this whole time? But then today my thought is maybe the editors were wanting us to see them the way everyone else on the island was seeing them.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, they're in an alliance together. Yeah, they get along, cool. But they're not seeing those private moments out on the beach where they're basically saying, let's get married after Survivor.
Well, they didn't say that. They didn't say that.
When you start invoking Boston Rob and Amber to each other and saying, oh, yeah, that's awesome. That's so cool. Like, that's great. And
like,
then
let's start out with Franny and Matt. Let's not jump all the way there.
Yeah,
right?
Man. They just hurdled Matt and Franny. They hurdled so many showmances. They just went straight for, we haven't been even seen holding hands until this episode, and now we're going to get married.
Yeah. 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 And it's like it feels genuine. Like I think that would be terrifying to like start to have feelings for someone on Survivor because I would just always question. I'd be like, is this real? Is this real? Like if we're not on the beach right now, like is this at all real? Are we even talking to each other? Like that would be all up in my head because that's the way your relationships are with everybody out there. And
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy because both of them in their like testimonials or whatever are like, no, it's like I really like this person and I feel very connected to them. And I feel like we've known each other for 6 months when we've known each other for like 3 weeks. I feel like I'm watching an episode of like Love is Blind, you know? Like this
Yeah,
is
except this love is not blind. This love is stinky and unshaven
yeah.
and way too not blind enough.
Yeah. Um yeah, and just that they happen to be on the same tribe when they came in and they happen to be like in the same alliance. Yeah, just very fascinating. Um yeah, man. But
Sad that there won't be a live reunion show for him to propose at, you know?
Yeah.
He's either going to
Yeah.
have to propose at the immediate reunion show after Final Tribal or not at all. He doesn't, there's no in between.
Yeah. It's tough. It's tough. Maybe they do like a returner season and they invite them both back. And then he proposes.
Maybe they do like a CBS special 30-minute Survivor episode.
But it's just
For
them
that.
getting engaged or married.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, what else happened this episode? Drew won immunity somehow.
Yes.
And Drew was actually cooking up Julie pretty good. Like, you know, he got the coals together. Like he was getting the grill ready, you know, and everybody was coming out and putting their own seasoning on Julie. And Julie was ready to go. Like he did it. Like he orchestrated what would have been the biggest blindside of the season. And his number one alliance from day one blew it for him. And that's so interesting to me. Like this was the best season. This was the best episode for like a long time for me because finally, like, yeah, none of the Re before went home, but at the same time, there's things are happening now. Like, yay! Like it wasn't just like 6-1. Emily's gonna go home. You know, like we're not just waiting out. Like, oh, like Julie got a majority of votes, including 2 from the Re before. And I think that's awesome. But what in the world is Drew gonna do now? Like he's been orchestrating this vote for Julie, who is in his 4. What do you do? Just go back and say, "Oh, but like now that you're here, though, I'll still work with you." What is that?
No,
What is that?
He's done. I mean, the best he can do is like go 3-on-3. You know,
Yeah,
like go 3-on-3 with him and Katura and Jake. I think he's with Jake now. I think Jake is his closest ally now.
yeah, and well, that's the question. Like, where's Austin?
And Jake and Katura are together. I think Austin is at this point. I think he's going to try to mend things with Drew, and I think Austin's going to try to get the Reba 4 back together and say, guys, we're going to go to the end together. But they literally can't. There's 4 of them. One of them's going to get voted out at some point. I think it's going to be 3-3. I think it's going to be Drew, Jake, and Katura against Austin, D, and Julie. And if I'm Drew, Jake, and Katura, I'm like, go to Rocks. Let's do it. Why not?
Yeah.
We're gonna lose if we're all going to lose. We're either gonna get voted out tonight, the next night, or the next night. So let's go to Rocks. There's literally no point in not.
So that's the thing. So like I feel like Austin is in the middle of both, but has alliances with both. Like, I really don't think Drew's just going to be like, all right, let's vote out Austin now. Like, I really don't think I think he's like, okay, we'll just go for Julie again.
Yeah, I mean,
And
that's how you got to start. Yeah.
Austin may be like, okay, that's fine. Like, he may be on board again, but like now that she doesn't have an idol, he's like, well, I did as much as I could to like save Julie. I was very honest with you about everything, and then D may like try to fight for Julie still, but at that point it'd just be up to Jake and Katura to like whoever they want to vote out.
Yeah. I mean, I guess Austin could play another idol for Julie. You know, he's still got one.
There's no way he's not playing that for himself, like next episode, right? Because it ends next episode. So he's got to just play it for himself.
True. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So if Drew wants to vote for Julie, Austin and D don't. They think they're going to vote for Jake. So they vote for Jake, and Julie votes for
Jake.
Then, you know, Drew, Jake, and Katura vote for Julie. 3-3. Austin plays his idol for himself. So now
it's just
D is going to go home at Rocks if Austin doesn't change his vote.
No. She would have a 1 in 3 shot.
Yeah, but I mean that's what I'm saying. Like that's the risk. Do you think Austin's gonna put her on the line like that to save Julie?
I think he would do whatever she wants him to do. So if D really wants Julie that bad, then he would probably just say like, yeah, I'll go to Rocks because why not? Like I don't have any risk of going to Rocks. If you want to risk going to Rocks, yeah, let's do it. Let's go to Rocks. You know, because I feel like that's D's choice. Like if D's like, no, I'm flipping, I'm jumping, then Austin will be like, yeah, I'll change too.
Yeah, like when there's 6 people left in the game, sometimes you have to go to Rocks. Like it's the only path forward.
We've only seen that one time, right?
I don't know.
Twice? Because I know it happened in the Loved One season, which Tyson won. Blood vs. Water?
Yeah.
And that was awesome. That was one of my favorite moments of all of my Survivor history where, what's her face? Oh, what's her name? That girl.
She voted out her mom.
Sierra. Yeah. Where she just like was like, no, I'm flipping. I can't do this. I'm going to lose. And I need you, Katie, to go to Rocks with me. And she did. And their odds was not in their favor. There was like one person on the other side and them two. And Katie went home. And I just think that's so cool. Like, I want to see that again. That would be sick. I would love to see that.
Yeah. I mean, literally, like, Katura and Jake seems to be self-aware at this point. He's like, I have been literally just a tree, you know, in making the analogy of like theater. He's like, I've just been a tree this whole game. You know, this episode, like maybe I'm a supporting character. Well, the way to get some main character energy up in here is for him and Katura to go to Rocks with Drew.
Yeah.
Like that, like I don't see a world where they do that and where they don't do that and any of the 3 of them win. I could still see Julie, Austin, or D winning. But unless one of them unless Drew goes on an immunity run, or Jake goes on an immunity run here, or Katura goes on an immunity run, that's your only chance. And I don't see any of these people left in the game winning out immunity.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you've got to do it. I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to happen because people don't like to go to Rocks. But like, if I was the person that I was thinking was going to get the votes, I'd be like, we should all go to Rocks. We all should plan on it. Whoever they vote for, let's do it.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, what if D wins immunity? What if D wins immunity Austin plays his idol. They all vote for Julie. The only people that could go to Rocks would be the two of the other three.
Yeah, I mean, if that happens, yeah, you don't have a choice.
You got to flip.
You've got to flip
go
on your
against
own.
yourself. Yeah.
If you can't convince Austin or D to vote with you, you've got to flip. Also, why does Julie have to be the target? Like, why can't they flip on D? Why can't they vote D out? Why couldn't they vote?
Yeah, well, now that's in play, right? Because it couldn't be before because Austin was so close with D.
Mm-hmm.
And Drew was like, I need to get one of them out so that I can have the majority power with Emily and Austin. And now he can't do that. He can't do that because he lost Emily and he doesn't have the power anymore. So he may want to get D out, but I don't know if that's going to happen. I feel like if he still wants to work with Austin, Julie's the only way forward for him. Obviously, because Austin wants to work with D.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think like Julie, I really wonder where Julie's at. Is Julie going to go to Drew and say, I know you were trying to get me, but like, let's stick together?
She may say that to him, but
is she going to say that to him and try to vote him out?
That's what I think.
What's going to happen there? Drew is in trouble, but the good news for Drew is he should be able to convince Jake and Katurah that they're also in trouble. And that,
I mean, Jake and Katurah know they're in trouble. That's like, they're like, yeah, Jake's been in trouble for the whole season.
Katurah's like laughing like, wow, Jake, can you believe me and you working together after all this? I'm like, Katurah, you're the whole reason you're in this position.
Right. Yeah.
Bello could have done what Reba did and stayed strong and with Caleb and gone all the way, and they didn't. They folded.
Yeah, who would have thought Katurah was working with Jake when she was the one that said, I'm not working with you, Jake. She was the first Bello to jump ship.
Right.
They could have gone to Rocks for Caleb, and they didn't.
Oh, yeah. No, Katurah tanked Jake's game. Jake, in that alternate universe where they go to Rocks and Ariba goes home at that split tribal, Jake is probably winning Survivor right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that would have been a 33% chance.
Or Caleb, Jake, Katurah, Caleb probably is.
It would have been a 33% chance that Ariba went home instead of one of them. But like at the same time, like I would kind of take a 33% chance right now, like compared to what are their percent chances of winning? Like Jake's been out of the loop for like 4 votes in a row. Katurah's been in the loop, but she hasn't made any of the decisions at all. She's going to say, my biggest move was getting Bruce out. Oh, congratulations. You got someone out that everyone else wanted out of the game. Like, yeah. What's the winning argument there?
So do you think, I think the thing that's most likely to happen now is that Drew's going to get voted out. That's what I think is the most likely thing to happen, because the Rebas can still hold all the power and be 3-2 if they vote Drew out. What I don't see happening is them being like, okay, let's vote out Julie now. Why didn't you just let that happen last time then? Other than you didn't want, I guess they didn't want Drew to be in power. But like, I really think Drew's the logical next person to go home.
Yeah. So, I mean, so if we're looking at this from Austin's perspective, right? I feel like Austin and D are the center of power right now. Clearly, they're the center of power. And if Austin let Julie go home, D's on the outs, Drew is in power, and Austin's on one side of Drew, and then on the other side is like Emily. But Drew's the king. Like Drew has the power. Mm-hmm. In this scenario, D is kind of at the center, but Austin feels closer to D anyway. And he still feels like he probably still feels like he can still bring in Drew, and him and Drew are still good because he still voted for Julie.
Yeah.
Like, as far as Drew knows, Austin didn't say a word, which, maybe he doesn't believe that. But like,
I mean, I think they're going to tell him that.
You think Austin would tell him?
I don't know. Did you watch Next Time on Survivor?
I did, yeah. And he threw a basket. That was so exciting.
Drew is really mad, and I think he's you don't just get that mad when like things don't go your way. Like, I think he's really mad because the guy he thought was his number one ally played him and voted out his number two ally.
Yeah.
And I guess he didn't vote for Emily, but you get the point.
But Drew was gunning for Austin's number one ally's number one ally. Like, that's the thing. So it's like, I feel like when you're making moves on Survivor, you're thinking, I want to make this move with this person. If I say I want to make this move with this person to this person, do they like me more than they like people adjacent to that person? Are we cool enough? Does this person still want to be with me more than they want to be with people that may be with this person and I might cross? And he made a miscalculation. Like,
yeah,
he made a miscalculation. And he almost didn't. I mean, Austin was weighing that pretty hard, it seemed. But at the end, I think this is such a good move for D. I think D's in the best spot right now. But I actually really like it for Austin too.
Yeah.
Like, Austin's playing with his heart. Yes, he is. He's doesn't want to blow up D's game. He wants to have a relationship with D, at least at some level, outside of the game and inside of the game. But this put him more at the center of power to me. Now it's like king and queen, him and D, and then Julie's on D's side, and he still thinks that Drew's on his side. But they're in the chairs.
Yeah. I think this episode was the editors just kind of saying, all along, we've been showing you that Reba was a 4 and that it was 2 and 2. And it was Austin and Drew and it was Julie and D. And that was the 4. And tonight we're showing you that that's how it started, but now the new 2 has formed.
Yeah.
And it's got a much stronger thing going on than any of the other 2 did. Because I really think that Austin is D's number 1 now. And I think that D is Austin's number 1 now. And so showmances may not be advantageous to the game for someone until there's 6 people left. When there's 6 people left and there's 2 of you who you can count on, you're with, and then you're both attached to 2 other singles, now you hold all the cards.
Yeah.
And so this is why people want to vote showmances out before you get to this point. And so good on Austin and D for not being an obvious showmance. Now, Kendra, 3 episodes ago, she said, I just want to ship Austin and D. I think they would be so cute and blah, 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 blah. Well, good on them for actually digging each other and keeping it so on the down low that was just something people were imagining happening and not something that they were using as a reason to get them out. Yeah. So showmances are going to be more even after this season where D or Austin's going to win. After this season, the only way that D or Austin don't win, in my opinion, is
if they don't
Drew,
make it.
Katurah, and Jake go to Rocks at 6 versus the other 3, and D goes home. And that's the only way I don't see D or Austin winning this game.
Yeah.
See, the bad thing for Austin is if they go to... This is why if I was Austin, I'd just flip on Julie. at this point. Because if I'm afraid that Drew, Katurah, and Jake are going to rocks and they're dead serious, I cannot risk. Because if, let's say I say, okay, let's work with Drew, let's just vote Julie out, I still feel pretty good because I've still got 3 Rebas, 2 others at 5. But in the scenario where they go to rocks and D goes home, now Austin is a clear threat to win the game. His idol has no power. Drew is firmly against him at that point. Drew will be firmly in the camp of, we've got to get Austin and Julie out, and we have the numbers to do it. And so if I'm Austin and I'm really afraid, like they're bluffing it and I believe them, I might just turn and vote Julie out at this one.
I don't think he would, because if he voted Julie out, then it's like, okay, well, it's him and D, and then it's the other 3. Like, then D's going home next, or Austin's going home next, and then they're going to make fire.
So like, you're saying that Austin and Drew's relationship is unmendable?
No, I think it's mendable for this vote, and then I think it's over. Like, literally, like, so I think Drew and Austin are still connected. But if they turn and vote Julie out, D's connected to nobody but Austin. Who are Drew and Katurah going to want to go to the final 3 with out of Drew, Austin, and D? They're not going to want to go with D, I don't think, at all. And they're not really probably going to want to go with Austin. They'll go with Drew. Drew already tried a blindside and failed. Drew, I don't think, is super liked. Like, what makes Drew a good winner option?
No, I agree with you. I agree with you that if I'm Katurah and Jake, I want to go with Drew and not any of the other 3. But I don't think Drew views it that way. In this episode this week, Drew said, me and Austin are kind of are on equal playing field. He said, me and Austin are on level ground. And he said, I think Julie has an advantage over us if she gets there. But me and Austin are on the same plane. He views himself as an even competitor with Austin. Right or wrong?
But won't he try to cut down the people that are the biggest threats? And if he thinks that someone is on his same level, wouldn't he cut him down? I would. Like,
so you're saying he's gonna? You think Drew definitely is like, I'll take Jake and Katurah with me. I've got this.
Yes. Like, I think Jake's ideal plan was to vote out Julie and then to vote out Emily, because D would get on board voting out Emily and Austin would get on board voting out Emily. And then it would have been 3-2. And then they vote out, like, I think he may have flipped and gone Austin if it did come to that. But now he doesn't call those shots anymore because his number 2 ally in the game got voted out. Like, that was the thing. I think it's so interesting because sometimes the game of Survivor comes down to, like, can I hold on to my first option, like my first alliance? Yes. But can I hold on to my second? Can I hold on to my number 2? If I can hold on to both of those longer than everyone else, I win. You know?
Yeah, I mean, as long as you're viewed as the leader of those people.
Yeah. You win. But, like, Austin held on to both of those. Austin may have held on to all 3, like his first 3, if he counts Julie over Emily. D held on to everybody she was close to in this vote. So did Julie. So, like, the person, I just think Drew's the biggest loser for sure. For sure.
I mean, it sucks that Emily got voted out, but it sucks for Drew that Emily got voted out. And truthfully, it sucks for Jake and Katura too, because they could have been in the 4-3 group, and they could have been in the 4-2 group, and they could have been the 4.
That's another thing. Imagine if Austin didn't tell D, then Julie goes home. Who has the power? If Emily's like, oh, I don't like the way this is going, and she wants to vote out like D, she could just team up with the other two, and maybe Drew's on board with that.
Yeah.
Or maybe D jumps ship with all of them and they vote out Drew.
So the thing is, where Drew lost the game tonight was telling Austin. Because they could have taken the vote 4-3.
Yeah.
Him, Emily, Couture, and Jake could have taken the vote 4-3. But he was trying to be a good ally to his number one.
Yeah.
Instead, he wasn't comprehending that if I turn on Julie, I'm turning on Austin too. He did not comprehend that. And so when he tells Austin, and Austin's like, yeah, sure, let's do it. He's like, sweet. But he didn't have to.
Yeah.
Drew and Emily could have run the game if they had just voted Julie out 4-3. Yep. And Julie would have never known it was coming. She wouldn't have played her idol.
And honestly, Austin probably would have been fine. He would have been like, that's fine. I didn't like deny D anything. Like, I'm okay to still work with this 4 again. Just replace Julie with Emily. And we'll just vote out Jake and Katura. That's fine with me.
Yeah, we'll vote out Jake and Katura. But see, you vote out Jake and Katura, then I guess he'd have to vote Emily out at that point.
Yeah.
But Drew would want to vote D out at that point. So that would be spicy.
But Austin wouldn't. So that's, man. Wow.
There's a lot of interesting dynamics at play. Well, so I feel like this season, from a dynamic perspective, from character interplay, had so much potential for really amazing gameplay, split votes, backstabbing, relational conflict. And then Reba has played it so straight. Austin, D, and Julie have played this thing so straight that they're going to take it to the end, and Austin or D is going to win.
Yeah.
I mean,
honestly, Julie, if she makes it that far, I don't know.
I could see it getting to the end, and Julie can't. I know it was Austin's idol, but Julie just canceled out a bunch of votes on herself.
Yeah.
So, and I feel like Austin and D are gonna split some votes, and some people might just vote for Julie because they like Julie.
Yeah.
And so Julie could beat them both at the end. That would be crazy.
Yeah. I mean, Julie is like trying to manage the jury, and I don't know how effective it is, but she's trying so hard to manage the jury. Like, it was so hard when I voted out Kendra. It was just so brutal because I knew her, and I was like, and I'm like, okay, Julie, you could just like, keep that to yourself a little bit. I don't know if they buy that, but maybe they do. Maybe that's effective.
So, do we think the best move for Austin and D, let's just assume they're not turning on each other, who out of the other 4 people do you want to sit at the end with? Drew?
I would want to, like, if I'm D, I want to go with Drew. If I'm Austin, I don't want to go with Drew.
So I think they should both want to go with Drew, because there might be some anti-Reba sentiment out there in the jury, and I don't want to sit at the end with somebody who like Jake. Let's say it's them 2 and Jake. And Jake is friends with Kendra. Jake is friends with Kelly.
Jake is friends with Caleb.
Jake is friends with Caleb. Jake is friends with Bruce.
Jake's cool with Emily.
Jake's cool with Emily. Jake's cool with Drew. Jake could beat them at at 3.
The real answer to who would you want to go with to the end would be Katura.
For sure.
Because the one person that all of those Bello people may hate more than Reba would be the person that bailed.
Yeah. The person that gave Reba the car keys and everything they needed to just run train.
They were talking Reba was talking on the beach. It was like, wow, I didn't think we would make it this far so unimpeded. It was because of Katura.
Yeah.
Like in Katura, like it would have been a really difficult play for Katura to go to Rocks and do all those things. But like she made that decision, you know, and she's the reason that most of those people are sitting over there.
Yeah. And no one from Bello has had an idol or I guess Bruce did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But like didn't use it when they needed it. You know, didn't use it well. Like Reba did get lucky in that the group they were going up against at the merge was not really together, didn't really have any advantages, and generally wasn't a strategic group. And so they've kind of run through them, even though they were the same in number coming in, like it hasn't really been a fight. And that's because Katura switched. Because it should have been Emily's with Reba, Caleb's with Bello, fight to the death. And no, Katura switched it all because Bello didn't tell her that Bruce had an idol. And really, okay, so if you want to get really deep, Caleb's the one that cost Bello the game because Caleb was like, we need to tell her about the idol.
Yeah.
It'll be good for us. And it ruined everyone else's game except Reba.
Yeah. Yeah.
They should have just told Katura in the first place about the idol, honestly, is what they should have done.
Yeah. Like if they really didn't like Bruce that much from the get, they should have been honest with Katura about it. Wow. Anything else before we wrap it up here on a great episode of Survivor?
Yeah. I mean, this has been a good episode of the podcast too. I ain't finna lie.
I don't know if everyone can keep up. If you're listening to this and you kept up or you didn't keep up, like let me know because I'm struggling to like cognitively understand what we're talking about sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, if you're really into it, you probably can keep up. If this is the first time you're watching Survivor, thank you for watching and thank you for listening.
Yeah.
And I know that we're probably getting into some really inside baseball type hypotheticals and stuff like that. But thanks for listening to our jabber.
Yeah. Wow.
That's the thing is there's been some really awesome opportunities for great strategic play.
Yeah. And tonight was the night. Tonight was the first one. Honestly, since Sabaya went home, tonight was the first one where it's like, oh yes. Let's go.
It was the main group did the right thing, and then Austin did the right thing with the information he had to save Julie.
Yeah. Yeah. Just a really fun episode. R.I.P. Emily. Thank you for your service this season. We hope to see you back. And yeah, that's going to be it for us. I'm Joel. That's Michael. And the cleaners are spoken. We'll see you later.